So I
Right,
have
right.
to
And
say,
so Hello, everyone. We are here at South Florida Integrative Health Center, and today is all about mental health. Anxiety and depression is so prevalent, and rightly so. The world events and everyday stress is really taking a toll. So, we wanted to talk about some of the root causes. Functional medicine is all about getting to the why things are happening, not only about covering it up with medications. Now, at times, medications can be very, very important and life saving. But what we need to do, and why functional medicine really has been so effective and so helpful for many people, is because we get to the underlying causes. We want to find out why things are happening. And so when it comes to anxiety and depression, these are the few things that are very, very important to understand. So, what we're talking about when it comes to mental health, anxiety, and depression, there are neurotransmitters. So when they say you have a chemical imbalance, in a way, that's kind of true because neurotransmitters are like chemicals. We have a neurotransmitter, dopamine, that gets us motivated. And when it's high, we're very motivated. When it's low, there's no motivation to even get out of bed. Then there's GABA. GABA helps us to feel very relaxed. Serotonin makes us helps us to feel good. And then there's serotonin, which we know also helps us to feel very comfortable with where we are in life. So we have this balance of neurotransmitters. Then what happens is there's this imbalance. Now, years ago in functional medicine, there was a very well known functional medicine psychologist out of Canada that used very high dose B vitamins. His name was Abram Hoffer. And what we see now, many years later, is that he was on the right track. But what we've learned more is that these B vitamins get into a process known as methylation. Methylation is so important, and we can test for that on these advanced blood tests. And so it's not so much just running the basic labs, it's also running these more intensive, more advanced biomarkers that tell us how a person is functioning. And when it comes to methylation, it lets us know how these B vitamins are being absorbed and being used in the body. And this becomes very important because this plays into what forms of vitamins a person should be taking and what doses. And why do we need these nutrients, these vitamins, is because they feed into this process known as methylation. There's a picture here that we have that could show you what kind of methylation looks like. And as you can see, these are the neurotransmitters here. You got serotonin and dopamine. So what happens is when methylation is dysfunctional, you could have a buildup of dopamine, a buildup of serotonin, and a buildup of norepinephrine. And this buildup of norepinephrine and adrenaline helps you gets your person more anxious. It gets that more sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight is turned up. And when that's happening naturally because of the stress of the everyday, well, then we get cortisol that's coming from the adrenal gland, but we also have these neurotransmitters that are coming from this poor methylation. So we really want to get methylation optimized. So what we do here at functional medicine is we run these more advanced biomarkers that gives us more information on how a person is methylated. And then we also run biomarkers to learn more about their B vitamin, not just their levels in the blood, but how the cells are using these B vitamins. Those are some more testing can tell us more information that's so crucial, how the body is using these B vitamins in this process of methylation, which will then help to balance these neurotransmitters, dopamine, especially dopamine, norepinephrine, because that is where methylation really is taking playing a major role. Then we have the microbiome, and in the microbiome, we know that there's very important keystone species like Lactobacillus and Bifidus that are important to helping with these neurotransmitters. Again, when we say that there's this chemical imbalance, what really that means now in the functional medicine world is that these are neurotransmitters that are not balanced. And that's coming from the gut microbiome and, like I've been speaking about, methylation dysfunction. So if we can do these advanced biomarkers, some of them are blood tests that let us know more about how a person is methylating, how they're using these B vitamins, but also these advanced stool testing that lets us know more about these keystone species, these very good bacteria that when we measure them in the stool, these are more like, it's a more advanced stool test, not just a culture, but a DNA PCR stool test that can quantify, is there a sufficient amount of lactobacillus? Is there a sufficient amount of bifidus? These are very key good bacteria that help to produce these precursors, or these precursors, these building blocks of the neurotransmitters. One of them that's helpful in the gut from these good bacteria is serotonin. Another one is GABA. And these are some of the neurotransmitters that help us to feel good and to feel relaxed. And that's why that's so important, the gut microbiome. Now, as far as anxiety, we see that when there's an overgrowth of yeast or parasites, a person can get these rushes of norepinephrine, but also when the lack of these good bacteria, there could be a lack of these metabolites from these good bacteria known as short chain fatty acids that are important. These good bacteria make these molecules that will help to really improve our brain function, and that's known as butyrate, as one of those short chain fatty acids. And they're very important keystone species that we can see on an advanced stool test if there's sufficient amounts that would be producing these short chain fatty acids. That's very important. So by putting together these advanced biomarkers, these blood tests that let us know about methylation and very important vitamin and nutrients that are important in this process of methylation. And if we do this advanced stool test that lets us know about these good bacteria, if there's sufficient amount, or if there's an overgrowth of parasites or yeasts that could be contributing to this anxiety, and could be contributing to the lack of a good mood, for this mild depression, then that's really putting together a good functional picture between the microbiome and between methylation, optimizing that. And of course, we have the mitochondria, which does entail a whole process of taking in nutrients to produce energy. And when there's oxidative stress and inflammation, which could be coming from the gut or be coming from other sources, then the mitochondria is impaired, and that can affect also our neurotransmitters. So functional medicine is getting to the root cause and complemented the psychotherapy, the cognitive behavior therapy. And that way, a person can really now approach cognitive behavior therapy or psychotherapy when they're functioning much more optimally. Their physiology, their biochemistry is optimized, methylation's optimized, microbiome's optimized, vitamin and mineral levels are optimized. Now the true healing can begin. The mind, body, spirit can be all put together, because now the body is optimized, the physiology, the biochemistry is optimized. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at South Florida Integrative Health Center. Our website is right there on the screen. And also, parasympathetic mode is so important. And that is why we use vagus nerve stimulation. It's a simple device that can be put on the earlobes that can stimulate the vagus nerve and help us go into a parasympathetic mode, because parasympathetic mode is so important for good digestion and for actually improving the gut microbiome, which will then lead in turn to a balancing of our neurotransmitters. And these are the root causes of mental health and anxiety and depression with functional medicine, the power of functional medicine. Stay tuned for our next podcast, where we'll really get into the details of many chronic details, the root cause, chronic diseases. We'll get into the root causes, and we'll really get to reversing and preventing chronic diseases. Everyone have a healthy, happy day.